Welcome to the Worst Sports Channel on YouTube, Hot Garbage Sports with me, Coach Ryan D. Marc Andre Fleury Traded from the Vegas Golden Knights, the Chicago Blackhawks. Let's go take a look at the Vegas Golden Knights cap situation. Let's figure out if this was a good trade or a bad trade. We're just going to pragmatically talk through it. Let's review a little bit of the Blackhawks and what they're getting in here. And then finally, Vegas Golden Knights fans, let's just talk about, was this the right move for your team? And what is going on with your team? You're new to hockey. Not all Vegas Golden Knights fans are new to hockey, but the city of Las Vegas is new to hockey. So I anticipate there is a lot of people whose NHL experience, especially when diving into off-season dives, cap situations, and why teams do what they do. This may be your first experience going through heartbreak where one of your favorite players is traded away or bought out, or the team does a janky decision that you may love or may not like. Let's get into all that. Roll the intro.
Here's Lemieux, the center penalty coming up.
And if you're new here at Hot Garbage Sports, considering dropping us a like and a subscribe, we'd love to hit 5,000 before the start of the season. We appreciate every one of you. All right, so the Vegas Golden Knights goalie situation. We know they had $5 million tied up in Robin Lehner, and we know they have $7 million for 1 year left tied up in Marc Andre Fleury. And frankly, Vegas has been very janky with their handling of Fleury, and so is Pittsburgh. I don't know what it is about Marc Andre Fleury. Every report that I've read states that he's a great teammate, he's a great ambassador to the city, but that is 2 teams in a row now that have done Marc Andre Fleury dirty. So dirty, in fact, that they didn't even inform him of the trade. He had to learn about it through the dirt sheets on Twitter. That is not the way you want to inform your franchise goaltender, or at least, franchise player that carried you through the expansion draft, of his impending future and fate. You got to be a little bit more honest and upfront, in my opinion, as to what you're doing with a player. Okay, so there's really 2 sides of this. There's the hockey side, and then there's the lovey-dovey, we like Marc Andre Fleury side. And Vegas Golden Knights fans, both sides actually do matter. So those fans that are saying, you know what, you got to treat players and people better, you are kind of right. And the fans that are saying this is a business, we've got to make deals because we're trying to win a cup, you're also very right. What side of the aisle you stand on as a fan actually does not matter. I'm not telling you you don't matter, but your opinion to Vegas Golden Knights management means bupkis. 0. And the reason it does is because there are certain teams with certain opinions on how they want to build and construct. The Vegas Golden Knights are into trading, into signing free agents, and they want to be in the playoffs each and every year because there's massive revenue gain from the playoffs, and they want to win a Stanley Cup. They want to hang that banner. They remind me a lot of the Boston Bruins. The Boston Bruins would trade their mother if they had an opportunity. Well, I mean, the Bruins organization doesn't have a mother, but I'm pretty sure the owner would do it. Well, he's probably old and she's likely dead, but he'd probably go back in time, resurrect his mother, and trade her if it meant he could get another Stanley Cup. And you know what? In a business where professional athletes are paid the amount of money that they're paid, you would be excused for thinking, well, tough luck, pal. However, there are a plenty of other teams out there that work through draft and develop systems that build homegrown talent and give players that have been franchise staples sometimes terrible deals that sewer the organization for years, sweetheart deals because of what they have done for the organization. The Winnipeg Jets with Blake Wheeler. Hey, the Washington Capitals just gave a 36-year-old man a 5-year deal where the salary cap hit doesn't get really much easier as he progresses forward. Maybe the greatest goal scorer in today's NHL. We're talking about Alexander Ovechkin, and they've locked him up till age 41. So yikes there. That is the opposite of what Vegas is doing right now. So Vegas is playing their salary cap situation just like I play the NHL 21 franchise mode. Get them out of there when they're old, bring in the rookies, trade, leave a lot of cap space for big free agents. But this isn't a video game, it's real life. So why don't we go ahead and take a look at the Vegas Golden Knights cap situation. All right, we head over to capfriendly.com and we can see here that Vegas has now freed up $12 million in cap space. That's pretty good and something to play with. And we also know when we take a look at the Vegas Golden Knights roster that center has been basically a position of issue for them since the beginning. So they feel at this point, by trading Marc Andre Fleury with 1 year left in his deal, that Robin Lehner can shoulder the load and win him a Stanley Cup, and that opening up this cap space is either going to allow them to re-sign someone like Alex Martinez and a few other key components up front in order to increase their scoring, or maybe they're going big fish hunting a la Jack Eichel. So taking a look at their forwards and their forward cap hits, we know we got Marceau, Carlson, Pacioretty, and Stone. These are your big cap hits along with Riley Smith. And just take a look at here under the acquired list. When you take a look at the acquired list, how many people did these guys acquire and trade? My goodness, Vegas, you literally are like Boston. You will absolutely trade your undead mother in order to win a cup, and there is nothing wrong with that. Hypothetically, this is what the Vegas Golden Knights cap situation looks like. We have 12 forwards rostered right now. Nolan Patrick, the pending RFA, needs to be re-signed. Nolan Patrick is a decent acquisition for the Knights because he was a highly touted prospect at one point, a number 2 overall pick, again from Winnipeg, Manitoba, Canada. We breed him the best here, don't we? Nolan Patrick could absolutely step in and be the player maybe that people were expecting him to be. And if Patrick doesn't step into that role or grow into his role, that's fine too. This was a very cheap deal for Vegas to acquire and take a shot at a center because centers are just readily not available, especially at his age. So if Nolan Patrick ends up becoming the Nolan Patrick we all know he could have and should have become, still got the potential to do it, then we could see some pretty good things for Vegas because he, well, was always targeted to be a number 1 overall center. But frankly, at this point, we'd settle for a 4th liner or even a 3rd liner, I think, normal staple into the roster. Okay, let's go back. So we can see here the forwards carry a cap hit of $45 million. We move down to the defense, the pride and joy of the Vegas Golden Knights, $18 million in cap space between Pietrangelo, Theodore, McNabb, Hagee, and Whitecloud. Now we're still waiting on Alex Martinez, and we know Nick Holden has a $1.7 million contract. There he is, buried in the minors. So the Vegas Golden Knights, if Nick Holden were to move up into the regular roster for cap purposes, would absolutely be sitting at about $10 million. Alex Martinez had a $4 million contract for 6 years. Let's go take a quick look. There it is, AAV of $4 million. And Alex Martinez is probably worth a short 2 to 4 year term deal. I mean, I know he wants more term, but I mean, I would be looking at a 2 to 3 year deal max, right around that same AAV with a flat cap, $4 to $5 million. So the Vegas Golden Knights can absolutely do that and keep the band together, but that doesn't address the scoring problem. That means that the Vegas Golden Knights then have to go hunting for centermen a la trades or free agency in order to come into the system. So Jack Eichel, if Jack Eichel's to come in, you're not signing Martinez. You're out of cap space at that point. Jack Eichel has a massive cap hit attached to his name, but he truly would be the number 1 center that Vegas is craving. Then you're going to be signing the rest of your players to league minimum salaries. And I don't know where that would leave Nolan Patrick. He might be able to just slide in a $1 million contract, but I don't know what Patrick is asking for. So that might put that up in the air as well too. So you definitely do have room to go Jack Eichel hunting, but I would put this at like 15 to 20%. I would normally put it at 0 at this point, but frankly, it's Vegas and they love making big splashes. So they may be far from done if they're still debating whether or not they're in the Jack Eichel sweepstakes. But if Jack Eichel isn't going to be your answer, who is? The best available free agent centerman out there right now, in my opinion, is Phillip Danault. Let's go take a look. So here it is on Cap Friendly, your unrestricted free agents that you could go hunting at the center position, and Phillip Danault comes in at number 6 last year with a really team-friendly deal at $3 million. And you can see why. 24 points in 53 games. This is not a point-producing player. This is a defensive first player. So although Phillip Danault is, in my opinion, in most opinion, the best centerman available right now via free agency, is that what Vegas really needs right now? Yes, you need a centerman, but another defensive player to come in? I mean, frankly, if you were going to play a shutdown defensive first system built around keeping the score low, I would have kept Marc Andre Fleury. He's better than Robin Lehner, and he gives you the best chance to win a Stanley Cup right now. I truly believe that. If you are looking to upgrade at other positions to increase scoring and hopefully allowing Robin Lehner to carry the load and put up more goals per game in the playoffs, then I could see this as a viable strategy, getting rid of Fleury. But I don't think Phillip Danault is the guy you'd be looking for. Danault turned down a massive deal offered to him in January from the Montreal Canadiens. So you definitely know Danault is looking for a deal somewhere north of $6 million. Sure, that's only that half the cap hit. So you could sign Phillip Danault and Alex Martinez and Nolan Patrick and likely stay under the cap situation that you were in with a bunch of entry-level contracts after that. That is possible, and that's a very good team. But it is a better team than the team was with Marc Andre Fleury. It's hard to tell because that's a very defensive team at that point. And you know, I've been told that goaltenders are really important when it comes to keeping pucks out of the net. More important than centermen, shutdown centermen, and more important than defensive depth. Oh, well. Okay, so let's take a look at some of the other unrestricted free agents that are available. Obviously, David Krejci would be an amazing acquisition for the Vegas Golden Knights. He's only 35 years old. only. But he is a point producing machine. He is able to drive the line, and you already know that you have players like Mark Stone that can bury the biscuit. So putting an assist monster with 36 assists on last year's season, a consistent player in David Krejci within your number one center role for 1 or 2 years is definitely a way you can win a Stanley Cup. But what is Krejci looking for? Is it 3 years? Is it 5 years? And is he looking for $7 million like he had before? Or is he looking for $5 million? It really depends. Also, does he even want to leave Boston? Is he just going to re-up with Boston and he's kind of waiting to see what's going to happen? Then as you look kind of down this list, there's really not a ton that ends up jumping out at you. There's a lot of older players that could fit in, but frankly, Vegas has been patchworking these types of centermen since their inception, to be honest. I don't see another name off this list that really jumps off the list for me that's going to be a game changer in terms of producing points for the Vegas Golden Knights. So there you have it. That's the cap situation, the breakdown, a few strategies or a few places that Vegas could end up going. Vegas fans, whatever line in the sand you draw with how and what happened to Marc Andre Fleury, the organization, they're going to do what they're going to do. This is part of being in the NHL. There's not a lot of forethought in the NHL, and frankly, if you haven't noticed it yet, the offseason in the NHL is pretty much a black hole because, well, I have watched nothing but general managers make boneheaded decisions year in and year out across the league. There are just very few good decisions I feel made from a team development standpoint and a cap standpoint across the general managers in the NHL. And now that there's a flat cap, they're all panicking as well too. They're buying out players that maybe shouldn't be bought out. They're selling guys that contracts are high. It's nuts. It's just insane. But it's the wild, wild west, and it's why we tune in on the offseason to watch. I personally think that the Vegas Golden Knights would have been better keeping Marc Andre Fleury for the last year. I think that is a massive advantage to have both those goalies going into the playoffs. And I frankly think, okay, you lost to the Montreal Canadiens, but you've made a conference final, a cup final, always been a contender, and it is because of Marc Andre Fleury and the system that's built around him. Why get away from that now? It just doesn't make a ton of sense to me. So you got rid of him for nothing. The cap space is gone. You're going big game hunting again or trade hunting again. We'll end up seeing what happens, but I just think it was an over panic because you lost to a hot team. And sure, Tampa Bay dispatched of Montreal like they were nothing, but Montreal was an excellent, excellent team in these playoffs. They just were. It wasn't a fluke. They got hot at the right time. We talk about that on this channel all the time, getting hot at the right time and getting hot with goaltending at the right time. And Montreal did that. So the Jets lost to him. The Leafs lost to him. The Knights lost to him. I don't think it's worth it for any of those three teams to blow it up and start again because all three of those teams should have beaten Montreal, and Vegas technically should have been in the final with Tampa Bay. But that's why we play the game, baby. We play the game because, well, if you could win on paper or through a simulation mode, this would be a really crappy league, and it's available. It's called video games. All right, you let me know how you feel down below, Vegas fans. I'm hurting for Marc Andre Fleury. The last big point to make is that he says he may not show up and contemplating retirement instead of going to Chicago. I don't think that's the case. Chicago, in my opinion, is going to be a cup-ready team, but you're going to have to take a look at my next video in order to find out what I think about Chicago with Fleury. All right, it's been Coach Ryan D.